Hello, everyone, and thank you once again for tuning in to the National Optometric Foundation Protecting the Vision webinar. And we are so excited to be sharing in this month of August, Children's Eye Health and Safety Month. And I'm so excited to be accompanied by two dynamic speakers for tonight, which I'll introduce to you later. I want you guys to go ahead and share this. Go ahead and share it with your followers. Go ahead and call your family, your friends, so that they can tune in and learn as we highlight Children's Eye Health and Safety Month. The National Optometric Foundation is the financial support arm for the National Optometric Association. And we support the National Optometric Association in various ways through community activities, conferences. We are doing free eye exams. Various companies support us by donating glasses for the people in various communities as we're doing those free eye exams. We support students who are currently in optometry school, students who are thinking about going into optometry school. We are trying to provide education to communities around the US of A. We're also trying to provide education to our patients. We're highlighting the Achieve campaign, the 3 silent killers of vision. And we're also providing scholarships to students there. And we are so thankful for the generous donations from companies and individuals who are making it possible for us to do the things that we are doing through each and every year. And today we want to give special thanks to the generous donation by the National Vision. National Vision is making webinars like this possible and workshops around the US of A possible through their generous grant donation to us. And we appreciate Dr. Reynolds for working towards securing this grant along with Mr. Jason Mahoney. And we are very thankful that various groups have also shown interest in hosting workshops in their community there. So if you're interested, please feel free to send us a message so that we can get some information to you and you too can highlight some things and educate your community as well. So coming with us tonight, two dynamic speakers here with us to speak on Children's Eye Health Month and Safety Month here. And I want to highlight one of our guest speakers tonight, Dr. Sharita Brown. Dr. Sharita Brown received her Doctor of Optometry degree in 2010 at the Pennsylvania College of Optometry at Salus University. Dr. Sharita Brown is my wife. She's a mother of our 2 beautiful babies. She's also a notary, and she's doing podcasts as well. They're helping people save, earn, and make smarter moves when it comes to their finances there. You can follow her on Instagram and YouTube as well. Dr. Sharita Brown is the owner of Insight Family Eye Care in Augusta, Georgia, where she specializes in pediatric eye exams and vision therapy. Dr. Brown is the only Black female optometrist with a private practice in Augusta, Georgia. And we're so excited to have her on tonight to speak with us and share with you all there. Dr. Brown, welcome to the show.
Thank y'all so much for having me. I am absolutely delighted to be here because pediatric vision as well as vision therapy is one thing or a couple of things that I am absolutely passionate about. And it's the whole reason why I decided to open my office in Augusta, Georgia, because I saw the need for pediatric eye care. And not only are we the only private practice that Black owned private practice in Augusta, Georgia, that is there, but we are also the only one that offers pediatric eye exams for kids under age 8. So most practices, they decide not to see the kids until they are above age 8. So we are the only ones seeing kids as young as 6 months of age. And I am just happy to be able to provide that service to my community. I'm also happy to be on the panel with my husband. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be sharing this panel with Dr. Stephanie Johnson. Really quick before my husband introduces her, she may or may not know this. This is just how passionate she is about pediatric vision exams and things like that, as well as the NOA and the NOF. I remember Dr. Stephanie sat down with me at an NOA conference when we were in San Francisco and explained to me about children's vision. She really took the time and she opened up my eyes of what vision, pediatric vision, as well as vision therapy could provide, and gave me a glimpse of things that I wasn't actually learning at school, or going a little bit deeper than what I was learning at school. So I will have to say she has been instrumental in me even being able to open up my practice. So she may not know how much she has inspired me. So that's why I'm absolutely thrilled to be sharing this panel with her. So I want to give her her flowers while she is here. And in the words of the lyricist Tupac Shakur, there's no way I can pay you back, but the plan is to show you that I understand. So thank you so much, Dr. Stephanie, and thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing that with our listening audience. And I'm sure Dr. Stephanie is going to love responding to that soon here. So thank you so much, Dr. Brown, and we'll see you back on the show in just a few minutes. All right, we're going to introduce our next guest speaker for tonight, which is Dr. Stephanie Johnson Brown. She received her Doctor of Optometry degree from the Illinois College of Optometry in 1978 and a Master in Education from Erickson Institute, La Loyola University in 1987, and currently is practicing optometry at Plano Optometrics. Recently, Dr. Johnson Brown served as Clinic Director of Tropical Opticals Chicago Public Schools Mobile Vision Program and has served as President of the National Optometric Association. She is a member of the Essilor Vision Foundation's Board of Directors and serves as the University of Alabama School of Optometry and Midwestern Chicago College of Optometry adjunct faculty at Stern Preceptor. She is Executive Director of Plano Child Development Center, a not-for-profit vision care service corporation, which specializes in vision education and identification, remediation, and treatment of vision development problems. She has lectured on vision and learning to optometric organizations, educators, and parent groups. Dr. Stephanie Johnson Brown, welcome to the show, and thank you for all that you continue to do in the optometric world.
And thank you, Dr. Brown and Doctors Brown. Sharita, that was so wonderful of you. You never know the impact you might make on someone else, especially when you're doing something you're passionate about and you feel that that's what, God's plan is for you. So thank you again for having me. And I just want to acknowledge the NOF and also National Vision for making all of this possible, because one of the goals of myself as well as our not-for-profit Plano is to spread the word, especially when it comes to children, of the importance of vision as it relates to learning and behavior.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we are going to hear from you tonight as you share life in your clinic, the education that you want to provide to our listening audience. You guys will be able to flow as you please because the audience is excited to have both of you on tonight. And I'm just excited to hear what you're going to share with us tonight there, okay? So let me just talk just a little bit more about our National Optometric Foundation. I want you guys to go to our website, nationaloptometricfoundation.com, and subscribe. All of you who subscribe tonight, guess what? Your name is going to go into a drawing to win a prize. And we also want you to follow us on our Facebook page, National Optometric Foundation. We also have a YouTube channel that we would like for you to connect with us as well. You will find all of the videos that we have done, the webinars that we've done since the beginning of this year in 2022 will be also on our YouTube page that you can have access to. And you can go back and watch some of the webinars that we've done and share those with your family and friends as well. We also want you to know that making it possible to do what we do comes from generous donors. And if you would like to be one of our donors tonight, we have a Cash App where we're accepting donations tonight. Cash App is Protecting the Vision. And if you would just, whatever what is laid on your heart that you would like to contribute, we accept all donations there, and we thank you in advance. I am the treasurer of the National Optometric Foundation, and I'm excited to work along with my colleagues there, doing what we do and trying to be supportive to our National Optometric Association as well. So let's get started in the show as we highlight Children's Eye Health Month and safety. So sometimes optometrists will send children to other optometrists who specialize in pediatric optometry. Sometimes it's best for them to do that because of different reasons, but we're so thankful for pediatric optometrists there because they have a purpose and they serve a unique purpose in their community. Dr. Stephanie Johnson Brown, Dr. Sharita Brown are two optometrists who specialize in pediatric optometry, and we are so thankful that they exist. We're so thankful that their practice exists within the communities, and we're so thankful for people traveling to get the care from both of these doctors here. And they're going to highlight some of these things tonight as it relates to what they do at their practice, how they're able to provide services to children. And also we'll be sharing some stats tonight about when it comes to children eye health as well. So if we could bring on these doctors here, I want you guys to just highlight how is the day-to-day movement in your practice there as you're dealing with children, you know, because everybody can't handle seeing children. It takes a special optometrist to be able to do that. And I know working with my wife, I've seen children from different backgrounds. They come in on different levels depending on if they are at a high level or they're at a low level. And you have to try to motivate them, you know, and get through the examination there. And then also if you have to do vision therapy with them because their eyes are not working together as a team, that's another task on top of a regular eye exam there. So either one of you can go first. I'll say Dr. Brown, Sharita Brown, you could go first, just highlighting about what it is that you see on a day-to-day basis at your practice when it comes to giving eye exams to children.
Thank you. So pretty much I see kids anywhere from 6 months and up. Oftentimes they have been referred to me either from their pediatrician or from a fellow optometrist, or the parent is bringing them in because they have concerns. Now, oftentimes the ones that are referred to me from the pediatrician, or we do have in the state of Georgia, in order for kids to enter into pre-K, they do have to pass a certain vision screening. So I see a lot of those kids that do not pass the vision screenings. And oftentimes what I am commonly hearing from parents is that they did not realize that their child had a vision problem. And so that is one of the reasons why we're doing this panel today, is to emphasize the importance of getting your children's eyes checked. The American Optometric Association has a fact that says that 80% of learning comes through vision. So just imagine that when they are starting out, whether they're in pre-K, 5K, 80% of their learning comes through vision. And if they have a vision problem, then that can definitely hinder them and affect them with their learning. And also it may possibly cause them to be labeled as, you know, having some kind of learning disability or some type of attention disorder. So you definitely want to catch it early. Also, another thing that I commonly hear is parents will say, oh, I had their eyes checked at the doctor's office, especially when they're bringing in one child. And I asked about the other siblings if they've had an eye exam. And they were like, oh, they're okay. They had their eyes checked at the pediatrician's office or whatever. And there's another statistic that finds that that is when you have your eyes checked at the pediatrician's office or your doctor's office, that is just a vision screening. That is not a comprehensive eye exam. And that can miss up to 50% of visual problems. Well, excuse me, 50%, and some studies have even shown up to 75% of vision problems. So that is a pretty big number. So we're missing half of those people. Another stat on the American Optometric Association also finds that out of those 25 to 50 people that we actually identify with a vision problem during a vision screening, 61% of those never even go to get checked. So just imagine how many people, how many children we are missing. And you wonder why kids are struggling in school, struggling to learn how to read, struggling to pay attention. having behavior disorders and disruptions and things like that. And it all could be related to their vision. Now, I also tell parents too, because sometimes once the parents realize that they do have a vision issue, they kind of feel bad about it. And they was like, I didn't know. And I always tell them, you're not going to know. I tell them, I don't know how you see, other than me doing my test that I would do when you come in for an exam. You don't know how I see. So what that child sees is their normal. So they're not always going to tell you, especially when they're young, you know, under like 5, 6, that kind of thing. They're not going to always tell you that there is something going on with their vision. They probably don't even know what blurry vision is. All they know is this is how they see the world. This is how they've always seen the world. And they don't find that there's anything wrong with it until maybe as they get older and they realize, hey, they can't see as far, or the other child that's sitting next to them can see the board and they're having some trouble. So really quickly, if you would like, I can go into some of the things that you can be on the lookout for when it comes to identifying if your child has a vision issue. Some of those things could be squinting and sitting close to the TV or holding things close to them. Also, if they're rubbing their eyes or blinking a lot. One of the obvious things is an eye turn. Some of these things that I just listed are more obvious, but there are some things that are not as obvious that you want to look out for. If they're complaining about headaches, especially after they've gone to school or doing schoolwork or coming home from school, or whenever they have to read or focus on things that are up close that require attention to detail, if they're complaining about headaches, it very well could be a vision problem. If you find that they are covering an eye, now the kid is not going to walk around like this, okay? Usually they are going to find ways to inconspicuously cover the eye. Like oftentimes I'll see the boys, they'll have the hair swooped over their eye, or you always see them like leaning over on their desk and one eye is covered. So that could be a sign of a visual issue if they're constantly doing that, because what might be happening is that they are actually seeing double and they are covering one eye to prevent them from seeing double. So if you notice that your child is always doing that when it comes to doing their homework, you may want to have them checked for a vision problem. Now, the other thing is they might have stomach aches or nausea, especially when reading or doing schoolwork. I know there's a little running joke on like the social media pages, like, it's funny how the kids never call you to come pick them up from school during the summertime. Now, it's a joke and we all laugh, but they very well could be getting nausea or stomach problems because their eyes are not focusing and tracking like they're supposed to when it comes to reading. Vision affects your whole body. Your whole body. It's not just your eyes. So it's going to affect different areas when you're trying to do different tasks. And a couple of other things that you want to take note of is if they have a short attention span. So if they're being labeled as ADHD, especially if they're under the age of 7, if they're getting that label, you want to get their eyes checked, especially ADD, ADHD are diagnoses of exclusion. So they really should be excluding vision problems in that process before they diagnose them. Also, if they lose their place when reading, that is also a sign of vision problems, especially if they are over the age of 7. If they are still having to use their finger to read and they are 8 and above, they very well could have a vision problem. And the last thing I'm going to share that might not be as obvious is if they tilt their head when they're looking at stuff. And they could tilt their head up, or they can tilt it down. They could tilt it to the side. And I'm being more dramatic with it. It's not as dramatic, but you will notice that maybe they always just drop their head down, or they're always looking up like that, or they just slightly turn their head. And that could be a vision issue that you will want to have checked out. Because like I said, the kids are not going to come out and tell you, hey, I don't see well. Hey, my vision is blurry, or hey, the words are moving on the page, and stuff like that. So you as the parent have to be aware of these behavioral signs that you might see that could be an indication of a visual issue. So I hope that was helpful to everyone there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Brown, for sharing that information with the listening audience there. Great information. Our first stat for tonight, 80% of learning comes through the eyes. Wow. So your child can easily be misdiagnosed with having some type of other issue, all because they are facing fatigue, they're getting frustrated, or they could even be fidgeting a lot in school, and they get labeled, something else. And it could be all because their vision is off there. So thank you for highlighting that, and for highlighting that even if a child has 20/20 vision, they can have issue with focusing and tracking, and also with eye coordination as well there too. So parents, we want you to be educated as part of the Achieve campaign. Achieve, all children's health initiative for eye and vision excellence. We want you to be aware, parents, of what's going on. We want to raise awareness of the importance of vision for children. We want you to know how vision can impact a child's development and also their learning and behavior there. I think Dr. Stephanie Johnson Brown is going to highlight some of that later on with her talk there, but we want you to know the importance of vision screening. Thank God for vision screenings and those things that are detected at the P's doctor appointment there, so that they can refer the child to an optometrist to be seen for a more thorough eye exam there. A lot of parents do think that their vision screening is an eye exam, and we have to educate them often that that's not their eye exam. That's a screening to help them get connected to an optometrist for their eye exam. So thank you so much for highlighting that. It's very important that children have comprehensive eye exams. So much can be detected through an eye exam. So please, folks, do not delay. Schedule your child's eye exam today. Make sure that they get connected to an optometrist, and specifically to a pediatric optometrist, so that they make sure that they are giving your child the best care possible when it comes to their vision. So thank you, Dr. Brown, for those highlights there. Dr. Stephanie Johnson Brown, we're so glad to have you with us again. I want to thank you for this opportunity, for sharing with our listening audience there, and I'm going to turn the show over to you to share what's on your heart.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown. And I think Dr. Sharita covered most everything. I just wanted to kind of emphasize some things that she did cover. But this one thing I want you to leave this whole presentation tonight. Always remember there's a difference between sight and vision. Sight is just your ability to see, kind of like you're born with. But vision is really understanding what you see. So if you think about that, you're going to think of vision a little differently. You're going to want to have your child's eyes examined if you realize that if you mapped out all the pathways that comes from the eyes and goes to the brain, over 70% of the brain has visual pathways. So it's affecting your emotion, it's affecting your memory, it's affecting the way your eyes and your hand work together. It's doing so much more than what we think about just with the eyes. And yes, it's true. The seeing component makes a big deal. For example, I had a patient today. He's going into the 3rd grade and he's never had glasses. Both parents are with him. They thought he was kidding, but all he could see was the big giant E, the top of the chart. And you go, how did this happen? And the doctors who are watching this, they realize being a 6th diopter nearsighted person is pretty significant. Or maybe it's your young child, and you say, well, screening is good enough for a 3-year-old. He passed the screening, yet when he comes to the eye doctor, and this reminds me of my niece years ago. She's grown now, but both her parents had perfect vision. And perfect vision meaning they saw 20/20, which I told you just means that you see what the average person sees at 20 feet. But I saw her and they said, you said that she should have an eye exam young. So I did her exam, and I know a lot of parents wonder, how are we examining children who can't talk back to us? Well, if you watch us in the exam, we use an instrument that's called a retinoscope, and you can see us shining this light, and we're looking at a reflex. And based on that, we can kind of figure out what your child sees with. Well, this niece, and those who are eye doctors realize that most little kids are farsighted. So it's okay, because you can just adjust your eyes and you still see good. Because she was seeing pretty good, like just at least what she should be seeing at 3. like 20/30ths in one eye, 20/40ths in the other eye. But I kept doing this test with her. And one eye ended up having a power of a +3, and the other eye, no, a +4, and the other eye a +6. And this particular little child was a typical, almost, just leaving two. And she would throw these tantrums. And when her mom got those glasses and she put them on, which we didn't give her all that power, but we gave her something that we balanced her, and she became calm. When she wanted to be upset, big difference in her. Sometimes we think just going to the eye doctor, we're going to do the same thing that the vision tester does with just determining what you need to see. But no, we're going to look at the eye health, because a lot of children have definitely some type of eye disease. And you have some babies whose eyes are running all the time, and maybe it might be because their gland, the little canal that comes out that's supposed to be draining the tears, is clogged. So maybe that has to be addressed. And of course, we know that a lot of our children have more screen time now.
Yeah, so a lot of
so we see that a lot. So yes, young children have that, and control how much screen time the child has. In fact, studies have indicated if you have a young child, you should not have more than 1 hour of screen time at one time, especially, and break that time up. And the importance of going outside to play, especially with young children. There's a term called myopia, which means it's nearsightedness, and it's on a rampage now.
Mm-hmm.
Which means they can see far away. And there's different types of things: contact lenses, drops, vision therapy, which we'll talk about a little bit later, that kind of is working with this, especially the contact lenses, as far as controlling the rate of how fast a child gets nearsighted, especially if both his parents are pretty nearsighted. So the best thing you can do is to go to the eye doctor every year just to make sure this child is now rapidly changing in nearsightedness. Another thing, and I'm going to end so we can go on to another point, but a lot of times parents ask me, what should I tell them? Make sure they
Dr.
look at.
Stephanie, can you say that again? Because you broke up.
Sure. They asked me, what should the doctor be looking at when I take him to get his eyes examined? Should he just be doing a real quick type of exam in about 10 minutes and, doing what you said was shining the light and looking in his eye and letting him go out the door? And I said, no, he should be looking at how aligned your eyes are. He's going to look at how well your eyes are working together. He's going to look at, and he may even do, if you have a 3-year-old, he may even do a depth perception. So you'll see the doctor put on 3D glasses and have the child look at some type of a little image that has a 3D effect in the book. And your child will go reaching for an object and they'll see it like grabbing it off the page. And that's indicating to us that even if they don't talk and they're not verbal, they're using both their eyes together. So we need to do, and there's several tests that we do within the exam that you may see the doctor doing tests where they have the big instrument in front of you called a phoropter. And that instrument actually has different types of lenses in it that can make you see too, where we can determine if you have a tendency for your eyes to cross too much or not cross enough. Or then we have lots of lenses in there that we're flipping once we figure out your prescription to see, are you focusing like you should? Are you over focusing? Are you having trouble changing focus? So a lot of these types of tests you should see the doctor doing in addition to eye movement. So you're going to see the doctor ask the child to follow a moving target, and you're going to watch their eyes. Are their eyes following smoothly? That's pursuit to movement. Then they're going to tell the child to look at one object, and then they're going to have them look at the other, and they're going to say, look at my pen, maybe look at my finger, look at my pen, and they're looking from one to the other. Now, if you have a 9-year-old and you're doing that, and this 9-year-old's looking way over here and then coming back, you say to the parent, oh, does your child lose his place when he reads? Well, of course, he doesn't have control. Mm-hmm. So he might be doing that. So we're looking at, and then we have more sophisticated tests to test for saccadic fixation movement, other types of things that we do to look at that. And then finally, we'll get into this later, but we look at how well the child understands what they're seeing. And this is not part of a basic exam, but based on a lot of the signs, the physical clues that Dr. Sharita already discussed, there are some performance clues that we look at too. Are they confusing different words? Are they reversing? Is their comprehension just really changing a lot? How is their handwriting? They're second grade, but does their handwriting look like a second grader, or does it look like a kindergartner? And we'll share some examples of that later too. Are they taking this book, and as they read, they start here, then all of a sudden they're on top? Well, do a little test with your kids like this. Put a pen in front of one eye, cover one eye. Then have your child pretend this eye is still covered, but ask your child to look at the pen, put their finger under it, and see if they come to it, or do they come in front of it, or do they go behind it? Because maybe they're looking at a book, and the book is here, but their brain sees it here. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they're playing baseball, and they kept saying, why do I keep missing the ball? Because they see the ball is here, but it's really here, or the basket is here, and they're trying to make the basket, but they keep throwing too short. Or maybe they see it back here because they keep hitting the backboard. So it's lots of things that you can look at that's possibly going on that's affecting your child, whether it's in sports, whether it's in school. And then finally, we have what we call secondary symptoms. And we actually have a little flyer to demonstrate this. So I'm just highlighting some now. Sometimes the teachers say, well, they're doing the best they can. They're going to just be an average kid, but they're really smart in everything else. And they get tested. They don't need an IEP, but no one can figure out what's wrong with this child. Or they keep losing their temper. Or they, like Dr. Sharita said, they can't stay focused, or they're all over the place. It could be lots of things, but I'm thinking when I go to an IEP meeting, vision, besides a screening, should be at the table, that we're looking at the total child's visual system, because it could be a component there that they're missing, and that can make a big difference in that child's behavior and the way they feel about themselves, because maybe they're feeling bad, they're feeling they're stupid, and they just can't do it, but it might just be a visual problem. So sometimes I just want you to think about that when your child does get the attention deficit disorder label, or they get the lazy label, or the dyslexic label, or the slow learner, or they're just a behavior problem, they just have emotional problems. Just make sure they have a very good comprehensive vision exam, and that the eye doctor, even if he doesn't provide vision therapy, which is something Dr. Sharita mentioned earlier, he has a resources for you to refer you to someone that will do this if the child needs more than just eyeglasses.
Absolutely. You highlighted a lot of good information there. Both of you did. I'm so thankful because I'm learning that fewer than 15% of preschool children have their eyes examined by an eye care professional. So if they're not getting examined, you're not really going to know, parents. And this is why we take time to do these type of webinars, so that we're educating the community about the importance of a comprehensive eye exam. It's important that your children get seen by an optometrist. We want to make sure that if they have not been seen by an optometrist, that you do not delay that. Get them scheduled to see an optometrist and get their vision checked there. Children should be seen as early as 6 months, 6 months, and then also at age of 3. And then once they start school, every year beginning school, they should have an eye exam by an optometrist there. The goal is for a child to be seen by an optometrist before the age of 6. Things tend to be a little more complicated after you cross the age of 6. And we want to prevent If your child has strabismus, where one of their eyes are maybe up, one may be down, one may be off to the right, one may be off to the left, it can lead to what we call amblyopia. And amblyopia is something that will need special attention through vision therapy, which is what we're going to get into here, as both of these doctors are doing vision therapy at their practice there. And I want them to just highlight a little bit about vision therapy, what it is, some results that you've seen, maybe some testimonies after you've done vision therapy with your patients, because I think the audience need to know about vision therapy and how it impacts lives in a positive way. All right, so I want you guys to just highlight that. And before we get into that, I want to just remind everybody that the National Optometric Foundation exists because of generous donors, and we appreciate those donors. We appreciate the National Vision for their grant that they've given us to be able to do webinars and workshops within various communities around the US of A. We also want you guys to know that we have a website, the National Optometric Foundation.com, that we want you to go ahead and subscribe. All of you who subscribe today to the website, your name will be entered into a drawing for a prize. So I want you to go ahead and subscribe. Share it with your family and friends. Share this webinar with your family and friends on your personal page there as well. We have a Facebook page, National Optometric Foundation, and we also have a YouTube channel that we would like for you to connect with us on and follow us there. And if someone is feeling generous today, we want you to know that we are accepting donations through our Cash App, Protecting the Vision, $ Protecting the Vision. So help us to continue doing what we're doing, supporting students who are in optometry school in various ways, being the financial arm for the National Optometric Association. We appreciate all of you who have contributed, and we appreciate all of you who are going to contribute to the cause as well there. So thank you so much. Back to these dynamic speakers that I have here tonight with us. I want you guys to just highlight anything additional that you would like to say, but also kind of slip in some vision therapy for our listening audience tonight there. If you would, Dr. Sharita Brown, you can go ahead and highlight some things about your practice and vision therapy that you have done with some of your patients as well there too, and the need for vision therapy. When do we see the need for vision therapy? Dr. Sharita Brown.
Okay, thank you. I want to say something really quick, piggybacking off of what Dr. Stephanie said. All of the stuff she highlighted at the very end of what she was saying about the child could pass a vision screening and have 20/20 vision and have all these issues going on. So our motto at our office is recognizing that great vision goes beyond 20/20, because they could, and that's why the vision screenings miss so many, because they can easily pass that. But in terms of vision therapy, I'm going to get into one of the commonly issues that I see in my practice is oftentimes I'll have children come in and the parents will say they believe they have dyslexia. And I think I mentioned earlier, dyslexia is a diagnosis of exclusion. So you should be excluding all other things, including vision, to make sure that it is in fact dyslexia, and make sure that they are taking the appropriate tests to diagnose them with dyslexia. Now, oftentimes they're saying that they are, or they believe that they are dyslexic because they are reversing letters and numbers. And that is often a visual issue that could be going on in how, in terms of their visual perception. So parents will often say they keep mixing up their B's and their D's, they're reversing stuff. And that is a common sign that, one, it might just be they might not be old enough to recognize their left from their right. So that's one of the first questions I ask. Do they have a good handle on their left or their right? If they don't have a good handle on their left or the right, yeah, they could reverse letters, and that might actually be considered normal to a certain age, usually around age 7. But if they're still doing that afterwards, then yes, it could be a vision problem. And what I tell the parents too, as a child is learning, I'm going to use this example really quick. As we're teaching a child, y'all see my water bottle here. If I hold it like this, it's still a water bottle. When I hold it like this, it's still a water bottle. If I hold it like that, it's a water bottle. But now they start learning about letters and reading. And what's the difference between a B, a D, a P, a Q? It might even look like a 6 or a 9. So it can be very confusing to kids when all before they have known that no matter how something is oriented, it is always the same. But now that we're teaching them letters and words, that they're having an issue with understanding, like when it's this way, it's a B, and when it's that way, it's a D. And that's also where vision therapy can come in. Or they could have, one of the common things that we find is a tracking issue, like their eyes just don't track and follow along like they are supposed to. So usually I will tell the parents, we don't even know how they are approaching the sentence. We don't know if they're starting at the beginning, they're starting in the middle, are they starting at the back and, coming this way. And usually when, as Dr. Stephanie was demonstrating, if they can't follow along, like even follow our light, if they're moving a lot of their head and stuff like that, that is a sign of a tracking issue. And sometimes it could be something very, very subtle. Maybe as they're following along, you'll see them moving their mouth. And that is something else that is a sign that they can't follow along. And usually the eyes are very small. The muscles that control the eyes are very small. It should not take your whole head for you to look where you need to look. It also should not involve you having to move your mouth, or in worst case scenarios, they might actually move their whole body. So those things, and what Dr. Stephanie was saying, we're looking at the whole child, because vision affects your whole body and it affects your behavior. Those are signs that the child might need vision therapy. Also, sometimes too, the kid will come in, or the child will come in, and they are touching everything, which is one of the reasons why some of my colleagues do not want to see the kids. They're touching everything. And the parents often are apologizing, like, I'm so sorry, he's all over the place and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's okay. Really, it's okay, because I tell them it is giving me a glimpse of their vision. That is letting me know that they don't trust their vision to give them the information that they need. Most of us can look out, assess a situation, know that, hey, something is soft, something is hard, but this child needs to physically touch everything. Because they are not trusting the information that's coming through their vision. So that is also a sign that, hey, we may need to work on some visual skills, whether it's through vision therapy or making sure they're actually seeing clearly through glasses if need be, to ensure that they're not all over the place and touching things. So those are some of the common ones that I see quite often. Usually they have an issue with their eyes tracking, also with their eyes focusing as well. They'll skip over words and lines and have to go back and reread stuff. And as I mentioned, sometimes that can lead to them experiencing nausea when they're reading, or tummy aches when they're reading, and that can be fixed with vision therapy. And it is so amazing to see these kids excel, like going from a C to D student to A's and B's in just a matter of months, literally months, because we've gotten to the root of the issue. Having a child go from hating to read to loving to read. I just had one of my recent graduates in for their regular eye exam, and I asked him how school was going, and he said it was good. He's been reading more. I said, you remember when you first came to see me, you didn't like reading? He couldn't even believe me. He was like, no, I liked reading. I was like, no, you hated it, and you hated when we did this and that. So it's just like a complete turnaround. And also just seeing their confidence build too, because oftentimes, especially as the kids get older, they start recognizing, hey, the other kids are getting a little bit easier than me, or they're finishing their work a little bit quicker than me, and they start internalizing that and might think, hey, I'm not as good as the next person sitting beside me. So you see their little confidence grow, and they can take on the world, all because we have helped them, have corrected some of their visual issues. And that is why I love doing what I do, seeing the kids as well as providing vision therapy.
Excellent. And so glad that the office exists in Augusta. I know people have traveled from North Carolina, South Carolina, far out in Georgia to see you for vision therapy. And the community appreciates all that you do, Dr. Sharita Brown. So thank you so much for that and for highlighting those things for us. Dr. Stephanie, I'll turn the show over to you about what you do. I know you have some things that you want to share, and when you're ready for us to display them, just let us know.
Yes, I'm ready for that picture because a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I
Absolutely.
want to show, I have a handwriting sample of a child prior to vision therapy with poor handwriting. And this particular child was looking at this story and tried to copy it. But it took him 2 hours for homework that night to copy that story. And look how it came out. So he came in. We diagnosed that he has some visual skill deficits in his eye movement, the way his eyes teamed together, the way he focused, and the way he saw visual space. And in him seeing visual space, he actually needed the intervention of vision therapy. And when he got this vision therapy, he was able to recopy that story 3 months later, and it came out the way you saw. And it took only it took 20 minutes compared to the 2 hours it took prior. So he did quite a remarkable job and a remarkable turnaround. And this is another child that came in with both parents, and they practiced all through first grade. And now he was in second grade, the end of the first quarter. And why is he still writing? This is a great example of how, from John Streff, a great optometrist that specialized in this area. One thing I remember that he would always say: if vision isn't going to lead you, it's going to interfere or interrupt your performance. And that's exactly what was happening here. So vision is very powerful, and it should always lead what we're seeing. So that's the picture I wanted to share with you. And I wanted to also add a little story, not only about a child too, because some people say, well, what happens if my child's eyes are turning? Well, most people are going to go to a pediatric ophthalmologist, which I work with. So I definitely want to acknowledge the pediatric ophthalmologist. So if you go to see them, they're fantastic. Currently, I am representing the National Optometric Association with the Children's Vision Equity Alliance. And they are working really, really, like we are working really hard on trying to make people aware of this whole issue of the equity that we're seeing, or inequity that we're seeing with children. Yes, there are more children that are minorities that I see this problem with than I do. So I don't really have any statistics to say per se that I've done the research on it, but a study of inner city youth found that poor vision is related to their academic and behavior problem. Then I wanted to talk to you about the juvenile delinquency. I know we think we have a lot of behavior problems going on, but there was a study of 70% of juvenile offenders that had undetected and untreated problems. And NAACP even kind of got in on this, and they were so moved after looking at this, because when these offenders got vision intervention, the rate of coming back to jail was so much less. And there have been studies in the past that kind of go along with this too. So we need to look at it as far as behavior is concerned. And a lot of people are always complaining that the National Eye Institute isn't doing enough research. But in 2008, the National Institute of Health stated that 5% of school-age children were affected by convergence insufficiency. And it's one of the most common vision disorders in children, and the need for glasses and or vision therapy. So they are working on it. We have to do a little bit more research with them, I think, to kind of get all our ophthalmologist colleagues kind of like working with us and emphasizing this. But it's out there. The other thing I wanted to kind of tell you about was one from a young child and then one from an older adult. So this isn't just children. It's not too late. And in working in inner city Chicago, unfortunately, a lot of the children can't afford vision therapy. And that's why we started the Plano Child Development Center. So children would actually receive this service on a sliding scale fee. Our fee is so much less than other places, but it's because of people who actually donate to us to kind of offset those fees. But this is a young child who was maybe 3 months, and her eye was turned out. And this is a child that's very close to me. And I'm like, I don't believe this. I have another person in the family with an eye turn, and they're 3 months. So usually we don't examine children until they're 6 months. But of course, this child was close to me, so I examined her and made sure she did not have a problem in her with the differences between her two eyes. But in talking to her dad, he even told me, "Oh yeah, well, that's how my aunt's eyes are, and that's how my cousin's eyes are." So it's probably was genetic, and that's something we didn't talk about too. A lot of vision conditions can be genetic, but doesn't mean that the person cannot adapt and adjust and change. Even people who actually have vision impairments, which means they have low vision, they cannot see, but if they get the proper intervention early, yes, something can be done. They can adjust and have a very well balanced life, and hopefully reach the goals of what they want to do in life. Another story I had is this is a golfer, and this golfer came to me all the way from Las Vegas, and he's like, no one gets it. No one gets it. So he says, "This is my livelihood." He said, "This is my livelihood. If I keep hitting the ball the wrong way, I am losing money." So he needed a special pair of lenses. Now, this is not vision therapy, but this is the other nice part about doctors who specialize in vision therapy. They also know how to prescribe a little different than the average doctors in prescribing a functional lens. But it's pretty simple based on what I told you. Vision needs to lead. So, for example, this particular golfer kept hitting the ball too far to one side. So we had to incorporate a lens with a prism in it to make the world look like it was shifted back the other direction. And he also focused with one eye, seeing a little closer than the other. So he had a kind of like a visual spatial problem. So we had to design the lens so that we took care of that. And finally, we had to make sure he had the right material in his lens. So we're giving him the best optics that was possible, and the best glare coating on his glasses that he needed, and the best tint, whether it was a transitional or whether it was just a pure sunglass that he would need to perform. But this is something I think a lot of people just give up on, but they are doctors that will look at you and they will, like he says, get it and understand the way that they're seeing. And this brings a lot of joy to those of us who do this specialty type of work. One of the things my externs have really, really appreciated about spending time here at Plano with us is that they learn differently about prescribing, and that is more to it than just what they found in which is better, number one and number two, and how to look at a prescription for a child. And just because they needed a 3 unit to see the board in school, if they went to read, that same lens makes their eyes cross. So maybe this child may need a bifocal or different lens up close than that they see with far away in order for them to be comfortable. So and she was just talking about how well the kids are, and that's how I became an optometrist, because I worked in vision therapy when I was in high school, and it was so rewarding seeing those changes. So it changed me to want to do this. But these 2 children that came in today, in fact, they're former vision therapy patients, and they were doing fantastic. Their parents, so it's something that I want you to realize, you don't lose it. So once we work with you, and it's kind of like the brain learns the skill, they kind of maintain it. But they come for their annual exams just to make sure their lenses don't need to be changed, and if they still need lenses. So that's something that I thought about today when I saw those 2 children, and they were doing extremely well in school, and just getting ready for the next year. And in fact, one parent who took therapy for at least a couple of years with that particular child, I said, "Boy, did you have a long time to make your appointment?" And she said, "No, I made my appointment before I left, because I knew this is important to do before every year before my child starts school." So I was glad to hear she took the initiative to make her appointment a year in advance. So I'm hoping more of you will have a better look, a different viewpoint on vision, whether you're an adult or whether you're a child, whether it's a baby, or whether you have a school age child, or if you have a special needs child, you have a child that's labeled autistic. Sometimes those children, when you intervene with them visually, man, it's so rewarding when you see them and they're looking very focused here, and when you can get them to take space and move it out and they'll become aware. I mean, like I tell my students, you have the power of the lens. You just got to learn to use it.
That's right. That's right. And I'm so glad of all that you're doing. Can you let the listening audience know how they can donate to helping offset some of the costs that those who are coming to Chicago to get vision therapy help? How can they donate to your organization?
Oh, thank you for letting me do that. They can go to our website, which is www.planovision.org, and you can donate directly online under donate, and you can learn more about us when you go to the site. You can also mail your donations in. Our address is 5401 South Wentworth, and we're in Chicago, Illinois, 60609, and that's in Suite 14A. Thank you.
Excellent. 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 We want people to know the great work that you both are doing in your community, within your city, within your state. And if they want to contribute to that, we want them to know how they can help contribute to that. Dr. Sharita Brown, your website for your office, if you can highlight that for our listening audience there in case they want to see you locally for an eye exam or vision therapy or bring their children to you.
Sure. Our website is www.insight, that's INSIGHT, and then IEYEAUG.com. So, yeah, please be sure to check us out. We're partnering with some of the local school districts to help out those that are in need of eye exams that are of low income. And that is through a program through Esler has provided us with some glasses. So we're looking forward to partnering with the school district to help out those students.
Absolutely. And as part of this show, Protecting the Vision, we want you also to remember to make sure that your children have on the proper gear when it comes to them being outside, doing activities, or they're playing sports. Make sure that their eyes are protected with the proper gear. Talk with your optometrist about that, the type of lenses that they should be wearing, the type of glasses that would be helpful for protecting their eyes to prevent injuries to their eyes while they're playing sports as well there too. So we want to make sure if any of you doctors, as we're reaching near the end of the show, if you want to highlight on eye safety and eye injury prevention, you can do that in your closing statement as well there too. Dr. Stephanie Johnson.
I just wanted to, I'll let Dr. Sharita highlight the eye safety, but I definitely wanted the listeners to know about the National Optometric Association Achieve All Children's Health Initiative for Eye and Vision Excellence. If you go to the National Optometric Association, then go to Achieve, and we just put something up there about it. There are a couple of links there that will connect you to it. But if you go to the page, you will not only find information about Achieve, and you will find information about changing life through lenses, which only your eye doctor can sign up for to get you those particular glasses. But you will find information that we partnered with the National Center for Children's Vision and Eye Health. And there's a link which is connected with Prevent Blindness, and it has so many nice resources on that particular site, from infancy on up to school age child, on up to disparities in vision health and access to care. So definitely check that out. We have the Achieve information in English as well as in Spanish. So I didn't want to leave without acknowledging that. They could get a lot of information when they go to that particular site.
Thank you so much, because we want to keep raising awareness so that parents would know the importance of vision for children. So thank you so much for highlighting that, Dr. Stephanie. And Dr. Brown, any closing words that you will have that you would like to share with our audience?
I'm sure. As I mentioned before, just remember vision is so much more than 20/20. So bring your children in to have an eye exam. We did not touch upon the computer devices, so I'm just going to quickly mention that there is a condition called digital eye strain that your child can get from being on digital devices. Now, I always say everything in moderation, because digital devices in and of themselves are not bad, because the same thing can happen if they were constantly in a book. I always say when I was growing up, the kids in glasses were called bookworms, but now we see a lot more kids in glasses because everybody is having some type of digital device. So you want to make sure they're not holding it too close to them. And just remember, it's not so much what they're looking at, it's where they're looking. So if they're looking here at a book, if they're looking here at a tablet, a phone, yes, that can increase the progression of nearsightedness. The digital eye strain, though, can cause issues with dryness and other things, as well as disrupting sleep patterns. So just do everything in moderation. Just remember that everything in moderation, even too much water is bad. So just remember moderation. That's all I have to say. Thank you for having me.
Excellent, excellent. I had the pleasure of moderating this show with two dynamic vision speakers, and I'm so excited that you guys were able to join and share tonight with our listening audience. And the good thing about it is that this is being recorded, so people can share it with their family and friends. They can also go back and listen to it again, take notes. Make sure that you do not delay scheduling your child's eye exam today. It's very important that your child have a comprehensive eye exam there. They tell us that 1 in 20 preschool age children, and 1 in 4 school age children have a vision disorder. These things can be detected with a comprehensive eye exam. So please make sure that you take heed to the things that these two excellent doctors have shared today when it comes to getting your child in to see an optometrist, a pediatric optometrist. Dr. Stephanie also says she works with a pediatric ophthalmologist there as well. So thank you guys for sharing with us. We want to thank the National Optometric Association for all that they do. We want to continue to support them in various ways. There's the National Optometric Foundation. We also thank our National Optometric Student Association for all that they do. I know that they're doing a lot of vision screenings in various communities. They're in school, and we appreciate all that they're doing. And we look forward to seeing you at our next National Optometric Association convention, which is going to be in Florida. We'll have more information about that to announce. Check your emails. That'll be going out as well there too. We want to thank you all for listening in. We want to thank you for your attention. And we also want to make sure that you know to go to our nationaloptometricfoundation.com, our website, where you can subscribe. All subscribers today, your names will be entered into a drawing for a prize. And also connect with us on our YouTube channel. We also want you to know that we have a Facebook page that we would like for you to go and like our page and share it with your family and friends there as well. And if you would like to contribute to the National Optometric Foundation, we have a Cash App called $Protecting the Vision there. We're going to continue to support and mentor young minds, advancing the visual health of minority communities there. We are a nonprofit organization there. And if there's anyone who's interested in becoming a board member of the National Optometric Foundation, we welcome you. We want you to please send us a message so that you can learn how you can become a part of this foundation. We want to thank you to our generous donors and our sponsors. We want to thank National Vision for providing us with a grant that has allowed us to be able to do webinars such as this and future workshops in various communities around the US of A. Thank you so much. Hope you guys have a great evening. And once again, thank you for tuning in to the National Optometric Foundation Protecting the Vision webinar. Have a great night.
Good night. Thanks for having me.